in my records, we had 965 bus routes when we first started with BusPlanner, and we had
Mm-hmm.
gone through years of reducing bus routes. Our school district took the approach about 8, 9 years ago that we were only going to assign students that requested transportation. So for the first 3 or 4 years that we were doing that, it was a very labor-intensive, paper-driven process. And that's what made it very difficult. When we started out with BusPlanner, we were down to 965 routes. And slowly, by being able to compile that information of who wants a bus, what students are going to receive transportation based on a direct request, uh, how many students are we going to actually assign versus the ones that are totally eligible. This school district has 65, 70,000 students that one way or another are eligible for transportation, yet we're only assigning 44,000 students that are requesting transportation. If a student wants transportation, they need to request it. And it has to be done in a clear, concise way, the same way every single time. Before BusPlanner, this was done via fax, via email, via phone call, via scanned document. We actually had a form drawn that was a transportation request log, and our faxes would be whirring all day long receiving these documents. And then you would have to manually hand it to whoever the route technician is. This became even more labor intensive because I have two centralized routing offices. So if you received one over here, you'd have to send it to the north office. So we always needed a way that would make that task a lot easier. So we did get down to 720 bus routes year over year by deploying more automated ways of doing that. We also reduced the number of bus stops. We used to have about 15,000 bus stops. Our last count is 12,700. So that reduced the number of bus runs and reduced the number of bus routes. It is more work to do that, and we find that it constantly keeps us busy to make sure that things are running as simplified as possible. When we do our state surveys that are conducted October and February, we use that
Mm-hmm.
data as well to consolidate and rebuild runs where necessary. So the improvement that directly occurs to students is that their ride time is reduced. By us eliminating those bus stops, we reduce their ride time. We're able to consolidate bus routes a lot better, and that in turn, uh, because we're matching the number of routes to the number of drivers, makes things a lot more efficient operationally. This is nothing different than any other school district encounters on a day-to-day basis where you're doubling and you're having to run operations uh, based on who's calling out that day because you don't have enough drivers. By us taking the lead on that, we've been able to make operations flow a lot easier, minimize telephone calls and complaints from parents, principals, the school board, etc. This is a department that 15 years ago had 50 route specialists,
Mm-hmm.
route technicians. When I started, there was 25, and we're down to 15. And those route technicians are very active doing their job using the software to the fullest of the capabilities. What was never addressed before is that initial request of transportation or other services, the
Mm-hmm.
inefficiency of doing that through telephone, fax, email, scanning documents and emailing them, and that getting lost in the shuffle. And that's something that we addressed uh, 16 months ago when we started developing the workflow forms that we needed to streamline our operations and make things a lot easier. Because I think what ends up happening in transportation centers, particularly you see that in the dispatch offices in the morning and the afternoon, is uh, our departments are not set up to be call centers. We're not a call center. We don't have call center telephones. We don't have a queue of calls waiting to be answered. Our folks are supposed to be doing their job, which is to assign students, build bus stops, build bus runs, take care of the special education and other vulnerable populations as quickly as possible. They can't do that if they're on the telephone 5, 6 minutes, 10 minutes every time a parent or a school calls.